Yeah, good morning. I am Nagaraju, Assistant Professor in Marri Reddy Institute of Technology and Management. I want to explain about the machine learning subject. The first one topic is Introduction to Machine Learning. The main course outcomes are, we have the 5 course outcomes. In that CO1, you first we understand the concepts of computational intelligence, that is like machine learning. And second CO2, we just move on to the understand the neural networks, and again that is used on the machine learning applications. CO3, we use the Bayesian approach to solve the real-time application problems. CO4, we understand the genetic algorithms and its usage for the real-time applications. Coming to the CO5, here we move on to the machine learning techniques to address the real-time problems in the different areas. So these are the 5 course outcomes we can understand from our 5 modules. We are now move on to the syllabus. In this we have the 5 different modules. Based on these 5 modules, we have the 5 outcomes. The first one, introduction. Next CO2, ANN, artificial neural networks. Based on these, we can understand these neural networks concepts. And next, third module, that is unit 3. In this we understand the Bayesian learning. Okay, so that we can covered by this CO3. And next, fourth module is genetic algorithm. That is covered, we learn from this CO4. And fifth module is analytical learning. So that is the combinational condition that we move on to the real-time conditions problem, whatever we understand in the what we are facing in the real-time applications, those are to be analyzed by these machine learning. Now we move on to the machine learning, introduction to the machine learning. The first one, what is the machine learning, or what is the definition of the machine learning, how it is differed from the remaining all the applications. Machine learning, it is a subset of the artificial intelligence AI technique. Next, that enables the computer system to understand from the data. So initially we take some data. Based on that, by understanding that data, we improve their performance on the tasks without being explicitly programmed for each specific task. So it clearly tells us that we didn't do any particular operations. By taking the previous data, by having the previous results, we can estimate, we can forecast, we can probably tells the or improve the performance. So that is the machine learning. And next, instead of following the hard coded instructions, so remaining concepts or the programming technologies, we use the some particular conditions of the coding technology, but ML is not in taking such kind of hard coded instructions. So simply machine learning identify the patterns in the data and make predictions or the decisions based on that previously data. So the machine learning is clearly tells us that initially we take the data, whatever we previously having the data, based on that we can forecast the upcoming results or whatever the decision we want to take in the future conditions, that is given by these machine learning algorithms. Yes, this approach allows the machines to adopt new information, whatever the decisions or the new information we want to take, and perform the complex tasks more efficiently. So by forecasting or by knowing the unknown values with the known values, that is to be achievable by these machine learning techniques. So that is the importance and the definition of this machine learning. And next move on to the key concepts of the machine learning. Okay, so here I just mentioned the 3 key concepts of a machine learning technique. So the first one is learning from the data. So what is the data? This data is the supervised data. Already we take it from the real-time applications or whatever the data we initially have, that is our learning data. So the machine learning system are trained using the large data sets. So the having data or the predefined data or real-time data, that is treated as the trained data, and that data is considered as a large data sets, allowing them to recognize the patterns and relationships within the data. So we have to identify that relations in that pattern. So here I just example. For example, ML model can learn to distinguish between the spam and non-spam emails by analyzing the features like sender information and email content. So based on that one particular data, we can separate, we can segregate, we can categorize the data. So that is concept of learning from the data. So that is clearly done by these large data sets. And now move on to the model training and evaluation. So whatever the data we have, we considered, whatever we segregated, so that is now we given to the training and evaluation process. This process involves the feeding data into an algorithm. So we considered a different type of we have the different type of algorithms. Out of that, we considered one algorithm and we try to feed that data into that algorithm to create a model. Okay, so this model is then tested on new, unseen data. So guys, here we have the data. The data is created into the large data sets. Okay, that known data is tested on new and unseen data to evaluate its performance and accuracy. So that is the training and evaluation. I trained my data into the new algorithm. So that is the training. And now I try to evaluate my previous data on the new and unseen data. That is the evaluation process. Okay, now move on to the continuous improvement. So the ML models can improve over time as they are exposed to the more data. So if you are considered the large data sets that can enhance our efficiency. So it improves over time as they are exposed to the more data and refining their predictions and decisions. So purely these prediction and decisions all depends on the data set. Okay, how much content you can provided in that training data set. Okay, whatever the quantity we can use. So based on that only our decisions and predictions are to be defined. Okay, so this adaptability make them valuable for dynamic environments where conditions change frequently. So if you want to take the random decisions or abrupt decisions, okay, so that can be taken by these concepts. Okay, so now move on to the types of the machine learnings. Types of machine learning. Here I mentioned the three different types of the machine learnings: supervised machine learning, unsupervised machine learning, and reinforcement machine learning. So supervised machine learning. So the name also tells us that it is supervised. So this model is trained on a labeled data set. So that labeling is tells us about the supervised. Okay, already I am labeled. So that means that already this data set is supervised. Okay, so labeled data set, and meaning each training example is paired with an output label. So already I observed that output and that output is paired with the some label. Okay, so that is the supervised. So the algorithm learns to predict the output from input data. Okay, so the common applications include classification tasks like email filtering, regression tasks like predicting the house prices. So whatever the thing we want to comes as our output, initially that is to be labeled by our data set. That is comes to the supervised learning. So now coming to the unsupervised learning. Unsupervised. In this condition, Yes, it is somewhat opposite to the supervised. So the model is given data without explicit. Here I already taken the data set and that is labeled. Here I given data is without explicit instructions on what to do with it, and it tries to find the hidden patterns or intrinsic structures in the input data. Okay, so here we did not labeling in output data. Okay, so that is, and find the hidden patterns or intrinsic structures in the input data. And the final one is clustering the out, so clustering the customers based on purchasing behavior is a typical use case for this unsupervised condition. So compared to these two conditions, supervised is somewhat easy to understand. Why? Because those outputs are already labeled. Yeah, next coming to the third one, reinforcement learning. Yes, this is an agent learns to make decisions. Here the decisions, okay, make the decisions by performing actions in an environment to achieve the maximum cumulative reward. Okay, the previous two, compared to the previous two types of the machine learnings, the third one plays the very key important role. This is commonly used in robotics, gaming, and navigation tasks. The reinforcement learning is pays the high attention compared to the supervised and unsupervised learning. Thank you. We will continue the remaining topics in our next class. Thank you. I hope you understand well. Okay, we will continue in our next class.